They may be on the floor or they may be on a wall. They may be machine-made or they may be man-made. They may even be 15 feet tall, but overall they are rugs. Though this may seem like an odd subject to talk about with you today, it has Gen Z scrambling left and right. Whether they are making them or commissioning them, the current youth are encouraging the revival of rugs in ways we've never seen before. Most of us may not give a thought or two about rugs, but they are beginning to fill the empty spots and bring life to dull spaces. Today I will share with you the history of rugs, how it has changed over time, and its current revival. Now let's travel back a bit. According to the Heritage Museum, the first rug ever made dates back to the nomadic people of Central Asia thousands of years ago. Their rugs' purposes were primarily decorative, as they were filled with lotus buds, cross-shaped figures, men on horses, and much more. They used bright colors to tell stories of the people and movements of their time. One of the first well-known carpets is the Abdali carpet, which is a silk Persian carpet dating back to the 14th century, carrying much of Iran's political history accounted by Khan Academy. At the time, they used a double knot technique, which we currently know as a Turkish knot. Fred W. McCullen then elaborates on the process by stating how they set the size of the rug using 2 stout poles, then would knot the cotton or wool, and finally clip the tufts. There are a few instances where silk would be used, but wool is typically known to grasp the dye better. They would use natural methods like pomegranate rind and indigo. However, there are several common techniques and materials used currently which did not originate long ago. Rug hooking is a method attributed to Yorkshire, England in the 19th century, just as friends of Cullen stated. Another method is the loop rug, which is formed in Scotland. This process is simply hooking wood in loops through a wide fabric base, which needed a burlap to hold it all together. This led to burlap becoming highly popular after the 1850s. Now let's move on to how rugs have changed over time, but chiefly in the U.S. In Philadelphia in 1791, the first ever woven carpet mill was born, as reported by the Carpet and Rug Institute. These rugs contain merely intricate design with a large variety of colors, especially as time went on. Their purpose, however, shifted to decorative. But parts of the United States chose to continue the tradition of heartfelt rug making by using the rug hooking method. It was viewed more so as an art form because it preserves family stories which are passed down, bringing America's past to its present. With this spike in demand for rugs throughout the country came machines that provided more convenience. The power loom was invented to streamline the rug making process, yet still weaves through the back just like a handmade rug would. They use wool and handmade fiber, polyester, nylon, rayon, and acrylic, which were introduced by Men & Dalton. Nylon specifically was introduced in 1967 and polyester in 1964. But we have now shifted with rugs, and not only its method but also its purpose. Rug making is one of the many things that came from this pandemic. It provided a creative ground for young up-and-coming results to explore. One of those artists is my dear friend Sophie. She took up rug making in quarantine as a hobby, but it then became a job as she searched for ways to sustainably live in LA. It got extremely popular because it plays a major role in supporting small businesses, BLM, and overall supporting ethnic artists. But before I dive deeper, I want to touch on the material used. The CRI tells us we use 90% of tufted projects, 2% woven, 6.7% other methods, which are knitted, braided, hooked, or punches, which actually a lot of artists use today. Subsequently, rugs being made by small businesses today are made by individuals. We went from making them at our homes to making them to factories, and now we're back to the authentic approach. Patricia L. Baker tells us that the more authentic rugs are those woven by an individual, rather than one made by multiple women seated just commissioning a work. Rug making is art. You learn it at your own pace, you mess up, you ask others with experience, and you just grow. It's a trade. These rugs are meant to be hung up on a wall rather than a floor. It's common to undermine artists during these social networks because of the way it affects the economy, but it actually has a big impact on the economy. Local artists like Rugrats Worldwide and Pal Heights Instagram are the movement starters I'm talking about. Not only do several of their rugs tell stories of what has occurred since quarantine started, but they also have used their platforms to raise money towards charities. Those charities help not only people affected by COVID, but also those experiencing social oppression. Rug making has provided jobs to those in need and allowed these local artists to express themselves, just like Ringwald did in her art piece, Dancing in the Louvre, which is a quilt piece as well. All of these artists have been able to do the same. Today we have talked about the history of rug making, how it has evolved over time, and its upspring. They may just be a floor mat to you, or maybe something your family puts under the table to not scratch the floor, but rugs have taken a role of an income to some, a piece of art to many, and a note of history to us all. Thank you for listening.